All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today is Friday, January 21st, 2022. Today is day 6 of my Vlog Everyday Challenge, and today's topic is going to build on yesterday's vlog, which is all about language learning. So yesterday, we talked about 3 ways of learning a language that I have tried and found success with. So today, I'm going to talk about 3 other methods of learning a language that are different from yesterday's in the sense that where yesterday's methods are more active ways of language learning, today's are passive ways of learning a language. So what do I mean by active and passive? So in terms of language learning, by active, I mean that the language learning is done very intentionally. So for example, when I open up Duolingo and I do a lesson, I'm aware that I am learning a language. That's the point. Or when I'm doing coursework, or when I'm taking a language class online, obviously, I'm doing so with the intent of learning. So by passive language learning, what I mean are ways of learning a language that are less intentional, that you are not doing these things specifically to learn, but through doing these things, you do learn. So I know that might sound a little bit confusing, but I hope once I go through these ways and through some examples, this will make a little more sense to you. So the first passive way of learning a language that I wanted to mention are magazines. So these can be real print magazines if you're able to get your hands on any, or of course, everything's online now. Knock yourself out online. So I have an example here. This is from 2015. And this is a magazine I picked up in Croatia. Now, it looks like it's like a cosmopolitan magazine. And it's got all the articles, ads, lots of beautiful pictures. I don't know if you can see. So, I find magazines very valuable for a few reasons. So, first of all, they are pretty to look at. There are lots of pretty pictures. But I don't necessarily need to read all of the articles. So I can pick and choose ones that are interesting to me, that are not too complex. If I just want to read the caption on something, I can do that also, depending on where my language level is at. If I just want to read the headlines, maybe I'll learn some new vocabulary here. I'll learn some new word order, some sentence structure, some grammar, some vocabulary. You learn it all, and you're kind of just browsing through a magazine. You know, you pick something out like, I want to know what these shoes are called. Well, I can look it up, right? So that's where I think magazines are very valuable. So there are also newspapers, and you're more than welcome to go to newspapers and news outlets also. But newspapers, I find, are a little more complicated because you generally want to be able to read the whole article. Whereas I find, for me anyway, the way I read a magazine, I just kind of flip through it, might read a sentence here or there, or if I'm very interested, I'll read the whole article, but I don't necessarily have to. So that's one way of learning a language that I recommend if you're able to get your hands on a real print copy of a magazine. Or, nowadays, if you have a favorite magazine in English, you can probably go online and find the same magazine in a different language. Like, if I'm learning French, let's say I want to find a magazine. Well, I can find Cosmopolitan France. I can find, Vanity Fair France. So there are a million options, and it's really low stress. Just sort of find the articles that are interesting to you, find the pictures that appeal to you, and go from there. So one other related resource I wanted to mention here is books. There are some books, if you can get your hands on them, that have the story or the words in both your target language and English. So if you're able to get one of those books, that is super useful. And also, there is a series of books that I found on Apple Books, and the books are in Croatian, and they are grouped into different skill levels. So you can pick up a beginner book. If you're, a little more advanced, you get an intermediate, advanced, so on. And the cool thing about these books is that not only do you get to actually read a whole book in your target language, but there's actually an audio component. So you can actually click play and you can read along as you hear it being read aloud to you, and not like a screen reader, like an actual audiobook, like somebody reading it to you. And one final thing on the book topic is children's books. And if you're just a beginner at learning this language, if you pick up a kid's book, you might be able to read it all the way through and follow along. And, it might be a little boring, unless you are a child. But it just gives you that sense of accomplishment that you read a whole book all by yourself. And that's huge. And, that's a great achievement. And so kids' books are very, very useful as well. So the second passive way of learning a language that I wanted to mention today is YouTube. So I obviously have experience learning French and Croatian online. And there are two YouTube channels that I really like to follow for both French and Croatian, Easy French and Easy Croatian. And I'm sure those exist for a multitude of other languages also. So what is great about those videos is that the content of the video is basically just the reporter going around a city or a town and asking people some questions, pretty basic questions, some cultural questions, and people respond. And the captions below are in English and the target language also. So if you need to, you can also slow down the YouTube video to whatever speed you're comfortable with and are able to follow along with. And you're able to hear and see at the same time. And I find that very useful. There are also certain plugins you can get for your browser that allow you to get captions in two languages, so presumably English and your target language, at the same time on YouTube, Netflix, Prime, presumably any streaming service. So what I like to do, what I find a very relaxing way of learning a language, is I like to go on to Netflix or Prime and turn on an old sitcom that I've seen every episode of, that I know every line to, and rewatch that. So I'll watch Friends or Modern Family, and then I'll usually slow down the speed to 0.75 or 0.5, and have the dual captions and just follow along, laugh along to the jokes that I've heard a million times. And it's a very relaxing way to learn a language, I find. So my final tip for today for learning a language passively is music. So I love music for language learning because for me, and I assume for many other people, it is a lot easier to memorize lyrics to a song when they're set to melody than just straight up vocabulary or straight up sentences. So something I really like to do is I like to find a radio station in my target language. So there are a million different radio stations online and on apps that you can listen to. So something I really like to do is if I hear a song that I really like, I will look at the app or the browser and it usually says the song title and artist, or if not, I will just Shazam it and I'll find it on Apple Music and I will listen to it a few times and I will learn the lyrics to that song and memorize them so that when I hear it again, I'm able to sing along to it. And I love doing that. I love singing along to the radio in English. And if I can sing along to a song in Croatian too, I love that. That's so much fun. So similar to watching a movie or a TV show in your target language, you'll hear different grammar, you'll hear different structure, sentence structure, word order, and this will all eventually become ingrained. It'll feel natural to you. And something else that I find, for me, music especially useful for, is in pronunciation. So I'll give you an example. So the first Croatian song I learned is called Tango by a band called Vatra, which means fire. So as I listened to it over and over again, and I could hear the way the singer sang it, and I could hear the way I sang it, I was able to pick up some little nuances of pronunciation that I'm not sure I would have picked up on otherwise. So in this example, it was specifically the pronunciation of the letter L that I learned through the song. So what I found in the song is that the letter L was pronounced more like a L and not a L. So it's a very, very minor nuance, but it's something that I picked up through music. So that's something I'm not sure I would have picked up on otherwise. I don't know if I would have picked up on it through video, just because video is sometimes a little faster, even slowed down. Sometimes things get a little distorted. So I think music is really amazing for that. And, you know, it really opens your eyes and your ears up to a whole new world of music, which is incredible. And who knows, maybe you'll find your new favorite song in another language. So that's everything I wanted to mention today on 3 ways of learning a language passively. So I hope this video is useful for you. Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of these methods, if you plan on trying any of these methods, or if you have any that I've missed that you'd like to suggest to me to help me learn my languages. So best of luck learning your language. And if you like this video, please like it, please subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!